2 Cents with Saikala Sultanova. Welcome to 2 Cents, a video series created in collaboration with AppsFlyer, where we bring together the best and rarest minds in the mobile apps and games industry. It's a space for fireside conversations with thought leaders, forward thinkers, and future predictors who are shaping the future of our industry. Each episode designed to go beyond surface, exploring meaningful insights, old ideas, and the challenges that truly matter. Today, on 2 Cents, I'm thrilled to welcome Maxim Kirilenko, a seasoned leader for over 15 years of experience in mobile PC as well as digital advertising. Maxim has held key roles, including Chief Business Development Officer at Playrix, where he played a pivotal role in driving global expansion and partnerships. He's here to share insights on building impactful strategies in gaming and apps industry. So welcome, Maxim. Very happy to have you here.
It's great that you invited me. It would be great to discuss a lot.
Great. So let's start with the icebreaker. Do you have any updates to share with us today?
I left Playrix in September this year. And since that, I decided to explore various things. One of the things that I deep involved now is iGaming. Very interesting, not new, but definitely a very hot industry. I'm exploring at the moment, trying to understand what it is, what is the switch between game development and iGaming, what are differences between these areas. Despite that there are a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of differences. And because of that, definitely trying to get up to speed in this area. And second one, what I'm doing at the moment is that I'm running a lot of consultancy and advisory services for a lot of game development companies and app tech companies globally. So I thought that after I will resign, I will have some break to recharge, but then no breaks, only forward and forward.
Yeah, but that's what you love, right?
Yeah, that's true. This is my passion. Definitely.
Exactly. You can't take a break because you see something interesting, grab it. So
yeah, that's true.
We talked about building teams and we talked about different types of teams. And I found that conversation very insightful. And I wanted to expand a little bit more on that because you have a very unique perspective, but also various overviews. And maybe to start with, it would be good if you could talk about how do you define the difference between the team that drives business and the one that operates as a support function?
I think that this is a great question to start and think about and discuss. And I think that let's start from academic definition that I also, because I just last year I graduated from MBA. So a lot of academic knowledge now in my mind. And because that academic definition of business driving team is that these are teams that are directly responsible for achieving the company primary goals, including revenue generation, market expansion, and customer acquisition. And support teams that are supporting business driving teams. So a little bit opposite and support function. And they are providing essential services or infrastructure. And I agree. At some point, I agree with both definitions, academic definitions. But I was thinking about this for quite a long time in Playrix, now outside of Playrix. And I think that business driving team and support team very depends on a relevant context. And actually, a conversation about these teams are irrelevant without context. I believe that any team can drive business forward and can achieve goals for business. And all teams matters, and all work of all teams matters, no matter what the team function are. But there are several nuances to take into consideration. Industry nuances, team leadership role and goals, company growth stage and period of time, internal company dynamics, which is following by the company growth stage, and also relations between team, because relations important as well. The relations affect internal company dynamics and also company growth. And here are several examples that I faced with during operations. So for example, one example is business development and partnerships team in gaming company. Main goal of this company to drive business forward. In many companies, business development should drive business forward. Yeah. But the thing is that this matters only, and this is true only when company is feeling well.
Yeah.
During period when performance is low, or there is market volatility or market downturn, a lot of companies, they prefer to save resources for something which is very, very important. And because of that, sometimes business development team and partnerships team especially, they are outside of the main scope. So they should be aligned with company core goals, like safe mode. And sometimes this means that there will be zero partnership or low level of partnerships and low level of any other business initiatives which are coming from business development team. This is one example. And second example is, and this is from iGaming, by the way, iGaming in comparison with gaming. For example, a customer support team in gaming versus customer support team in iGaming. Despite the fact that the customer support is very important overall, and a lot of companies are talking about customer support and how they care about customers, but in game development industry, I found out that among most of companies, customer support is kind of like not so important. And because of that, customer support team, they are focusing on day-to-day work, how to help customers, more routine mechanical things. And of course, all this brings low impact to business growth. Maybe sometimes it adds a little bit to retention of customers and customer loyalty, but not necessarily. In iGaming, it's very opposite. In iGaming, customer support is definitely a business-driving team, because the better support for customers, the higher loyalty of customers to brand where they are playing their games or betting, for example. And customer support team can bring a lot of value and a lot of impact, saving customers, because the more customers stay, the more customer will deposit, play, and have fun. And this is definitely two like opposite things to keep in mind.
This is very interesting, actually. Why do you think that is? Because, of course, the biggest difference is that the revenue made per user or per player in iGaming, which is real money gambling, versus free-to-play, there's a massive difference. But then there's always a subset of groups that make, quite a big deposits even in free-to-play. But why is it that in free-to-play gaming, customer support is just one of the functions that takes care of some of the tickets, and in iGaming, it's a business driving, almost an upselling mechanism?
That's a great question. I'm trying to understand as well now, based on practice, why it is so. And I think that main difference is that, for example, in mobile game development, especially nowadays for most of the games, it's kind of still easier to get a lot of customers to their games. A lot of customers. And because of that, first of all, customer support, to provide necessary level of customer support, started to be very hard. So you do need to set up a very large team to support your customers. And at the same time, LTV is lower. Even from LTV is lower in comparison to iGaming, which is real money gambling industry. So I can compare, even in PC MMORPGs, like PL could bring 200,000 USD or a little bit more. But in iGaming, it could be like millions, frankly speaking. Yeah, very big difference, and scale is different. And because of that, all problems of customers, even who are spending in your service 5,000 or 100, it matters, because all these customers can be scaled to a whale. Approach is different.
Yeah, yep. No, I get that. But now taking back a little bit, back to business driving teams versus service oriented teams, could you tell us about characteristics? Are they different, and can they switch in between? What are the key characteristics for one or the other?
So personally, I think that the key characteristic of business driving team is motivation to drive growth. Without motivation, it's impossible. Even if you have superstars in your team, they can't think out of the box. Because driving business forward is thinking out of the box sometimes, trying to find opportunities, even in optimizing things. And to do so, you need to have a very strong motivation in your team to support your growth and to overcome all internal and external challenges. And the second characteristic, this is not a characteristic, this is probably a trait: never give up on trying. Because a good example, I can tell you that from game development, alternative stores, for example, alternative Android stores. Not so many game development companies, especially game development teams, they take into consideration that alternative Android stores can bring money. And because of that, they deprioritize preparation of special version for alternative Android stores. And for a business development team or for any other team, it's hard to pitch game development team to do so. And the thing is that, but if you will keep pitching and will try to pack all this opportunity as a package deal with something else together, this can maybe from the third try, fourth try, fifth try, it can bring value. And then you can, based on practice, show game development team that, okay, this is definitely a very valuable source that can easily improve your margin because it's easy to integrate and at the same time, easy to get extra revenue from the same Android build that you already have. So you don't need any special things to do so.
So that's pretty cool, right? Because that means your business development team would have to understand some part of it, maybe not fully or maybe fully, understand the game development cycle to be able to pitch is one thing, but also understand the scope and complexity and the timing.
Yeah,
when
scope complexity. I think that this is, and you're right, I wasn't thinking about this, but this should be also a characteristic of business driving team. This team needs to understand more areas than only their area of business. So, for example, not only partnerships and business development and communication and relations, how to communicate with partners and how to negotiate, but also understand more about game development, more about company cycles, more about marketing, more about cost saving and cost structure of business. Yeah, to prepare a better pitch.
Yeah, that's just interesting. And probably negotiations in between, because you almost kind of become not only negotiator with external partner, but also internally with developers.
It's always a negotiation negotiation is part of our crucial part of everybody's life. We're negotiating, actually, all of us. All people are negotiating at any minute. Yeah, because, for example, you're negotiating something with your partner in life. You're negotiating something with your partners in business. You're negotiating something even with your kids. As a good example, I'm a father of two girls, 4.5 and 1.5. And I'm constantly negotiating with them.
Oh my God, with your experience, they're probably going to grow up really good negotiators from the...
They are definitely winning.
Well, they have to play their cards, right?
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So now we understand that there is some clear differences and key, let's say, skills that business driving team and support providing team needs, let's say support function. But in your experience, were there any times when, let's say, the same team, for example, your business development team, had to and was capable of switching sides, not switching sides as moving teams, but in a way that when the company, as you mentioned, goes up and down, downturn, or you're on a peak, when you had to actually change the structure of how you operate. At some point you need to drive, but at some point you actually needed to support. And maybe if you could share some examples.
Yeah, that's a great question. Of course, in any team, there will be ups and downs in terms of business driving focus or supporting focus. In business development, user acquisition, legal and finance team, I think always ups and downs, depends on how company is feeling. Game development team or development team, they are more stable because they are focusing on mostly product. And in some companies, they are actually supporting function of business ideas and business teams. In some companies, it's opposite. In game development companies, usually everything is around product. Most game development companies, everything is around product. And because of that, for other teams, you will see ups and downs from business driving teams to support functions. In my experience, I faced with this couple of times in Playrix, in previous companies, previous game development companies, and even in edtech companies. As a good example, COVID time. COVID time, I was in Playrix, and in Playrix, it was one of the most successful years in terms of everything, as for the whole game development team. And because of that, in our hands, in business development team hands, were more options, more green lights on how to do business. And we were motivated to drive business. And because of that, in 2020, COVID year and following year, we did a lot of different things with World Health Organization, other companies, a lot of activations in our games. We onboarded our games to alternative stores, alternative Android stores, expanded our business in a way in China. Yeah, there were a lot of, but after that, when mobile game development industry started to feel not so well because of a lot of changes, privacy change by Apple, and a lot of uncertainty caused by this change, followed by various macroeconomics factors as well. I was seeing slowdown in a lot of partnerships because company was trying to focus and optimize, and it makes sense to do so during these downturns, of course. And the business development team started to be a more a support function of user acquisition team and the game development team and other teams as well.
That makes sense. I'm thinking, let's make an example, a simulation, because we will have different type of viewers, and maybe some of them have, smaller companies, bigger companies, medium-sized companies. When is the time when companies should look into, let's say, building or expanding their business development teams? Of course, every case is different. And if you are a seed, pre-seed startup, probably no. At which point in time? Because you joined Playrix, for example, is one of the latest examples away from everything else you've done before. Not from the beginning, because
not from the beginning.
Small, they had to grow and stuff, and at some point in time it made sense. But in your expert opinion, with all of the experiences, when would you think that companies should be thinking about starting something like that?
Yeah, the thing is that, first of all, if I'm talking about startup and small companies, business driving and business development team, partnerships team, a role is mostly covered by founders, because what founders are doing, they are communicating with a lot of external partners. They are communicating internally, trying to move business forward, and they are doing all this stuff. And this is great that founders are doing so, because in this case they understand their business more and their needs, and for them it will be easier to prioritize everything. And then when company is still startup, but already medium-sized startup, in this case, you can set up business development team. It will be good for any company to set up business development team and start supporting founders with information and also partnerships, things using separate team.
So you'd say,
for bigger companies, of course, it's obvious. But again, it depends on what company is looking for and what company strategy is at the moment. If company is driving business through, partnerships or through a cooperation with a lot of other companies, so business development partnerships or sales team crucial from scratch. And of course, these teams will drive business forward, pushing other teams to do so. But in startups, as I mentioned earlier, founders, they are doing so.
Yeah, makes sense. And so let's go to practical advice and some of the lessons you may have learned. Maybe you would share your thoughts and your perspective with the listeners and watchers. From your own career, can you share an example of a team that transformed from service provider role to business driving force? What made it successful?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will share example from my past and from my recent past, Playrix. When I joined Playrix, I joined from marketing side, and I was in charge of business development and marketing. So my role was to support our CMO and also user acquisition team in terms of their needs, how to scale, what to do. And approach of everyone was that, business development is supporting function.
Yes.
Negotiating, trying to push partners, trying to find the better deals, trying to find some pockets of customers and audiences that we can buy. And then when I started to work in this case, I was fully supporting user acquisition team. But then through a lot of collaborations and communication with our marketing partners and user acquisition partners, I started to understand that I can bring more deals that will scale marketing, discounts and new partners and new opportunities. I started step by step, to show value that I can bring. And more different initiatives that I was bringing to our CMO and user acquisition team, they were accepted and scaled overall, user acquisition and operations and marketing. And a lot of them helped to achieve company goals, and especially in user acquisition. And then there was a shift in mindset of user acquisition team that business development actually can bring more than just supporting us in our like day-to-day needs. Like business development individuals or teams, they can actually find like interesting things that will drive forward. It's challenging because also like from business development standpoint, we are sometimes like making mistakes in terms of choosing priorities, what to do, because like business development team usually covers like all partners and they get a lot of information from like different partners and a lot of opportunities as well. And the hardest part of like work of business development team is to define what definitely matters, what will bring growth, what will bring success for everyone, and to find a way how to like negotiate and run campaign or partnerships or any other activities that will bring growth. This was like the hardest part. There could be mistakes, but you don't need to afraid. I mean, you don't need to afraid mistakes. You just need to analyze mistakes afterwards and trying to get understanding, okay, why we made this mistake and why this opportunity wasn't the real opportunity.
That's really cool. And it makes me think. Now I'm thinking about, the business development. I've learned a bit from you and the conversations that we had previously. And there's lots of moving parts. There is like almost like a puzzle and maze and so many moving parts, and you need to collaborate with multiple external and internal teams as well. Are there any, technologies, tools that can help you and your team be efficient, effective? And do you guys have favorite tools? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's
searching, but this
definitely.
aside from ChatGPT, I don't know. Everybody's searching on that now, but is there anything else that fundamentally helps you be efficient and favorites?
Yeah, like first of all, I will add a little bit of my thoughts here. So the thing is that I believe that for like business development team, and not only for business development, but for business development team mostly, the hardest part is not negotiation or communication with partners. Because actually like a lot of partners, they would like to do something together and they are like pretty open to do something and to find a way how to scale marketing, how to do some activations, how to publish games in different markets. And there are a lot of different like opportunities and things. The hardest part is like internal negotiation between like different teams internally. The bigger your company, the harder this negotiation could be and the slower the whole process will be. And because of that, there are like a few tools that I used. And by the way, I found out these tools from a very good course in INSEAD. And there's like a course in INSEAD, negotiation dynamics. And this is like 3-day course on site like in a campus, which is fully about like negotiation, not only between companies, but between people mostly. And there are a lot of different tools that everyone can use. And especially there is like a 7 stars preparation tool that everyone like should use, especially for negotiation that matters, which is helping you to like prepare yourself for like negotiation, prepare yourself to understand your opponents or like opposing party in negotiation. Try to get a very different like 360 view on negotiation, not only from your side, what you need from this negotiation, but also think about what other party need. And this helps a lot, especially for something big. For something like small, I think that everyone can do without like do negotiation without preparation, but for something big and like medium size, definitely it helps a lot. And
So your recommended tool is 7-star negotiations planning and strategy from INSEAD.
And this is not, by the way, advertising of INSEAD, but
well, you obviously are very satisfied with the MBA, which is good.
No, I mean, definitely that course is great. I like strongly recommend everyone at least to think about this. And maybe it's great because professor is great. So Horacio, who is leading negotiation dynamic course, he is one of the best professor in the world, and especially if we're talking about negotiation.
Fantastic. Very, very cool. I've learned so much from you, and I'm sure everyone else who will watch this video will learn tons as well. Well, Maxim, as we wrap up, what's your 2 cents of advice for leaders looking to build teams that truly drive business forward? What's the key fostering motivation, resilience, and impact in their approach?
So like keep your motivation high because it's important to go forward and to overcome all internal and external challenges during any cooperation with like anyone. And second one, like never give up on trying. Never give up on trying. This is definitely helps a lot to make things things happen.
Cool. So the things that we have to remember, keep trying is the second one. The first one is
motivation high.
Maybe finding the team members who want to think they're self-motivated and then just help them to keep trying all the time. But maybe not.
Oh, but this is the hardest part. This is the hardest part to find like people who are like self-motivated. And because of that, I truly believe that from like leadership standpoint, leadership should think about motivation of their employees, how to keep motivation of their employees at a very high level, supporting them from like different sides, not only like business side, but also from their like personal side, but to be sure that they are motivated enough to drive business forward and to never give up and think about what to do next and how to make things happen.
Thank you for that. This is very interesting, actually. It could be another topic of maybe we should have another video conversation about this.
Sure.
People, personal and versus professional, how to motivate. Very, very interesting. Well, thank you very much today.
Yeah, thanks so much as well.
Thank you. Today with Maxim Kirilenko, we explored building business-driving teams, fostering motivation and impact, and aligning team culture with long-term goals. Maxim shared valuable insights on leadership, scaling, and creating environment with innovations. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and Maxim, to you for being the star of the day. And we'll see you.
Thank you so much. Yep. Bye-bye.
2 cents with Saikala Sultanova.